Nissan was saved from collapse by one man. He cut costs, rebuilt the company, and became one of the most celebrated executives in the world. And then, he was accused of stealing hundreds of millions of dollars from the company he saved. He was arrested, and then he escaped the country, hidden inside a box. This is the story of how the man who saved Nissan nearly destroyed it. And the question the company still can't answer: what happens when your savior becomes your biggest liability? Nissan started as a small Japanese automaker in the early 20th century. By the 1970s, they had cracked the US market with smaller, fuel-efficient cars at exactly the right time. For decades, the business worked. Then the 1990s arrived, and for Nissan, it was a disaster. In 1992, they reported their first pre-tax loss since the 1950s. And it wasn't a one-time stumble. They kept losing money year after year after year. The global economy was rough, and the exchange rate between the yen and the dollar kept working against them. But the real damage was self-inflicted. While Toyota and Honda were refining the Camry and the Accord into the most popular sedans in America, Nissan's Altima was getting left behind. While Ford and Jeep were launching the Explorer and the Grand Cherokee and kicking off the SUV revolution, Nissan was slow to respond. Customers noticed. They started buying from everyone else. By 1999, Nissan was carrying over $35 billion in debt. Analysts weren't asking if they'd recover. They were asking when they'd file for bankruptcy. This was a company on the verge of disappearing entirely. And then a man named Carlos Ghosn walked through the door. Renault, a smaller French automaker looking to expand globally, paid $5.4 billion for a 37% stake in Nissan. The money mattered, but the real value of that deal was Ghosn. He came over from Renault as chief operating officer and immediately took control of Nissan's fate. He announced a revival plan with a promise attached to it. If Nissan wasn't profitable by March 2001, he would resign. He didn't have to resign. What Ghosn did was ruthless and effective. He shut down 5 factories in Japan. He cut 14% of the workforce. He sold off every business unit that didn't make cars. He merged operations between Nissan and Renault so the two companies could share suppliers, marketing, and logistics, squeezing savings out of every corner. He had already earned the nickname Le Cost Killer in France, and at Nissan, he lived up to it. But it wasn't just about cutting. Ghosn pushed the company to build vehicles people actually wanted. The Murano arrived in 2002. The Rogue followed shortly after, and it eventually became Nissan's best-selling vehicle in America, outselling the Altima and Sentra combined. The alliance later expanded to include Mitsubishi, with Nissan buying a 34% stake in 2016, creating one of the largest automotive partnerships in the world. The turnaround was so dramatic, so complete, that it became a case study in corporate revival. Ghosn was celebrated everywhere. He won industry awards. He appeared in a Japanese manga series. He became the first person in history to serve as CEO of 2 Fortune 500 companies at the same time. Carlos Ghosn didn't just save Nissan, he became Nissan. And that's exactly what made what happened next so devastating. In 2017, Ghosn stepped down as CEO. The following year, Japanese authorities arrested him. A whistleblower inside the company had come forward, and after months of internal investigation, Nissan concluded that Ghosn, along with director Greg Kelly, had hidden over $300 million in payments to themselves and other executives. They alleged he took compensation without disclosing it, bought luxury properties around the world with company money, and used corporate jets for personal vacations. The man who saved the company had been quietly taking from it. And then the story went from shocking to unbelievable. While out on bail in 2019, Ghosn escaped Japan by hiding inside a large box, was smuggled onto a private jet, and fled to Lebanon. He has maintained his innocence ever since and filed a billion-dollar lawsuit against Nissan. If that wasn't enough, Ghosn's replacement as CEO also stepped down in 2019 over a separate scandal involving an improper payment of $900,000. In the span of 2 years, Nissan lost its savior, its reputation, and any sense of stable leadership. The damage wasn't just financial, it was existential, because when the person who defined your identity turns out to be compromised, you're left asking a question that no earnings report can answer. Who are we without him? That question has haunted everything since. About half of Nissan's global sales come from just two markets, the United States and China. Both have been sliding. In China, local brands like BYD have surged ahead by offering electric vehicles packed with technology that appeals to younger buyers. Nissan has struggled to keep up. In the United States, the problems trace back to the same weakness that nearly killed them in the 1990s, a lineup that doesn't excite anyone. Their own global head of design publicly said he was disgusted by who they were as a company and described the brand as feeling a little depressed. When your own design chief says that out loud, you know the internal mood is grim. There have been signs of life. The Nissan Z, a revival of the iconic Z series from the 1970s, generated real buzz. Redesigned models have started reaching showrooms. U.S. sales ticked up in 2023, though some of that was driven by heavy discounting. The company has announced plans to launch 7 new models in North America and refresh most of its existing lineup by 2026. But remember that CEO who said Nissan had hit rock bottom back in 2019. After that, the stock kept falling. In February 2024, shares dropped 12% in a single day. Their market cap, which sat near $40 billion in 2018, has collapsed to roughly a quarter of that. Rock bottom, it turned out, had a basement. Here's what makes Nissan's story so fascinating and so frustrating. Unlike the 1990s, they haven't been bleeding red ink nonstop. Outside of the pandemic years and the immediate fallout from the scandals, they've stayed mostly profitable. The leadership has stabilized. There's a plan in place. The pieces exist. But Nissan's real problem has never been one single crisis. It's been a pattern. They fall behind on what customers want. They wait too long to adapt. Someone or something comes along to bail them out, and then they slowly drift back into the same habits. The 1990s nearly killed them. Gosen saved them, the scandals gutted them, and now they're trying to rebuild again. The question isn't whether Nissan can survive. They probably can. The question is whether they can finally break the cycle. Whether this time the comeback sticks. I'm not going to pretend I know the answer, but I don't think we'll stop seeing Nissan vehicles on the road anytime soon. What do you think? Have you owned a Nissan? What was your experience? And the bigger question, do you think they're finally turning a corner, or are we just watching the same pattern repeat itself? The headlines don't explain how the system actually works. That's what we do here. Subscribe to The Inflection Point. More stories like these are coming next.